Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast, a podcast committed to supporting you in your journey to life mastery and personal enlightenment. Welcome to the Spirituality Now podcast. I am your host, Yvonne de la Flor, and I am super excited because I have a master sitting in my office right now, drinking Shaolin tea, a very special tea that I brought from the Shaolin Mountains that was given to me by the Qigong, is that how you say it? Qigong masters and the medicine men at the Shaolin Temple. And it's not caffeinated, it's not a typical tea that you use for the ceremonies called Cha Dao or Gong Fu Cha, which is the mastery of the skill of drinking tea. But it's a special tea, and I'm offering it to my guest because he's such a master in these, not only the martial arts, but the mental arts, the breathwork arts, and just the life mastery arts. Yeah, right? And so today, I don't have any commercials except, what I'm about to invite you to dwell upon. We are thinking to have a couple of podcast series with my guest, and the reason why you will find out as soon as he begins to share. So let me introduce him to you. I have here with me, sitting in my office. That's like incredible for me because I usually do all my interviews online. So people are in Russia or people are in Mexico, and I'm traveling all over. And so it's an honor to have you here. And so I have today founder and breathwork visionary, Damon Damato.
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Damon. I'm glad we're going to have fun. I drink tea because we have a teapot here. I'm going to keep serving tea. And he's the founder of the Healing Sanctuary. And I love that it starts with the. My mentor, Tim Grover, says, if you are just like Healing Sanctuary or just an athlete, it's not the same as the. Like, right?
Yes.
The, whatever. So, Mr. Damon, for more than decades, I believe, it has been his true purpose to pour into others and give back in a meaningful way to the community. I'm a witness, I'm a recipient of that too, especially toward those in addiction and the veteran community. Unfortunately, too often those groups collide and become one. After losing his brother Dean to the addiction of heroin and ultimately suicide, he felt at a loss for many years. A feeling of guilt that he was either too young and or didn't have the skills to have saved his brother. There was a part of his life, a good 10 years, that he too felt the grips of addiction and the lack of purpose. It wasn't until the fateful day in his many travels around the world in search of Qi, he came face to face with a force so powerful and so profound that he was shaken to his core and realized he must stop looking outside of himself and reckon with the spirit within. Wow. It was the potency of the breathwork, that became his superpower. His quest to learn and become a student of life and then a master of multiple healing modalities, this was his road back to help others in a way he could not help his own sibling. Oh my goodness. Through his focused commitment and dedication to helping those in addiction, he has created the exclusive Key to Life program for the Healing Sanctuary. This program is unlike any other system in that the approach is holistic in nature and backed by science. Mr. Damato has also had the good fortune to interview over 600 successful men and women in more than 70 professions on what makes them tick and how they sustain lasting success, abundance, and happiness. He's published 3 books on the topic which received numerous awards. He found it interesting that their answers only had a few things in common. However, there was one major thread that just about all of them shared. It's what Timothy Leary called the here and now, or the practice of mindfulness. We share these techniques, they share these techniques, we all share these techniques at the Healing Sanctuary daily and put them into practice along with a meditation-focused routine and a physical workout created by Mr. Damato titled Chi Force. Since 2015, he has been touring across America, speaking at seminars and lecturing on the topic of Chi, energy, and getting into a flow state, personal development, and overcoming addiction. He's been blessed with the opportunity to share this with thousands and thousands of people. With that said, welcome, Damon. How did I pronounce your name?
Wow, Damon?
Damon is good.
Yes.
Not Damon.
No.
It's like a diamond.
I know. Some people say Damien, but I think that's like more than one. Damien is plural, and then Damien is like plus two.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored to have you here. And if you pass me your cup, this is going to be the first, and I can't wait to go live like on video. We're preparing to do the live video because it will be so great for people to watch you live. But welcome. So why don't we start on you sharing a little bit about you and sharing a little bit about this story? I mean, I was not aware of of your brother or everything. So please share.
Yeah, from just a young age, I always felt that I was searching for something more, building towards something, and I didn't necessarily know what it was, but there was a lot of trauma. There was a lot of instances in my life that were setbacks. And I'll be quite candid, and I think the folks listening will appreciate the truth and the fact that when I was a young boy, I was kidnapped, and when I was 6 years old. And I found out later that it was my father basically trying to get back at my mother during a divorce. And so for 2 weeks, this little boy was pretty much lost and scared and didn't understand really anything. I really don't have very detailed memories except the pain and just being frightened. And the following year, I literally fell in a pool and drowned. And was brought back, and so I had fear of water.
Wow.
Yeah. So I couldn't. My mother, she couldn't bathe me, or I couldn't take a shower or in a tub. I was terrified. So this little boy again is traumatized on another level. I'm like sponge bathed in a sink kind of thing. Is the only I just couldn't get over it.
Right.
In the following year, my brother had his friends. They were playing around a little too strong. Didn't realize they were like 15, so they were quite a bit older, bigger, and basically strangling me. Play fighting, but didn't realize how it wasn't on purpose, but it was to the point I was turning color. So fortunately, my brother kind of pushed this kid out of the way, and I was turning colors, so I was terrified of being touched. So I had this dramatic amount of trauma in 3 parts of my life, 3 years out of my 8 years of life, that just really made serious setbacks, and that made the scared little boy, this frightened boy, I didn't want to engage, I wouldn't speak, I just was a shadow of a person. And it took years for me to begin to overcome. It wasn't until my teenage years, but my mom, I couldn't even have an embrace from my mom because I just didn't want to be touched after being strangled,
Right.
Type of thing. So I was this frightened little boy that was just like a wallflower and just almost kind of existing. I would go to school, but I wasn't engaged. I was kind of just drifting by, getting by kind of thing. But there was something deep down inside me that I felt like I don't want to be like this. Now, I don't know what gave me the inclination to step up really in the moment, but I shared with my mom, I said, I have to get in the water.
Wow.
So we went to...
How old were you when you made that decision?
I was in my early teens, and said so we would go to, there was kind of a school where they would have lessons, and we went there almost every day, and I sat there on the bleachers just looking and watching, and for 3 months I basically said, not today. And we go back the next day after school, and I sit there and I watch, and I go, not today. Until finally I got the courage to go all the way down and put my foot in and stand in the water, and then eventually brave it out. I forced myself to get over the fear, because if I did not, I knew that I would be was just damaged, but just not a whole person, if I didn't face these fears. And so eventually I began to swim. Eventually I was not afraid of the water anymore. I understood it was my friend. And so the next journey, a couple years later, now it's about 15, I was like, jiu-jitsu.
You went into jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so I did the same thing. We sat there and watched the kids, rolling, doing the mat work, doing,
because you didn't like to be touched.
No, and basically,
My God,
I said, my mom, I said, I need him to choke me out. Like I go, I'll never get over this. So like I sat there for months just watching, not engaging, till finally I got enough courage to basically have the instructor work with me to the point that I got over my fear. But it took all of that for years to really put myself in a vulnerable position. Now, I didn't really frame it like that as a child. I couldn't articulate that yet. But I knew that I had to do something, or I'll never have a life. And my parents, my mom, she was very supportive with me to get me in that place. And at that time, my brother, he'd been in and out of rehabs because of the divorce of my parents. He was just traumatized. I saw what it did, so he ultimately committed suicide, and I saw how it affected everybody around us, how it affected my mom. She did everything. She thought she did everything right and blamed herself she was in counseling for 20 years. And I felt like if I was older, like we could have had a better relationship, maybe that he wouldn't have done these things, right?
Right.
So...
It's huge. I know. I know. And I want to tell you that this happens in all the podcasts that I've interviewed. Masters, teachers, people that have overcome like you. There's an immense amount of tears, and that's super courageous. It's perfect because and if you hear our podcast before, we have an incredible podcast from Kelly Schultz that he walks us through. When suddenly the love of his life, had a heart attack in a boat, like his life changed overnight. Leaving him with 2 little girls. So this is welcome because this is real life. Trauma is real, and when we overcome, I've gone through every single possible trauma too, but it's quite courageous, to bring work like the one you bring into the world. This is where the medicine comes. Unfortunately, the medicine doesn't come from the health. No. It comes from the disease. It comes from the trauma.
Pain or suffering. But I didn't want to come off as, like I'm this teacher, instructor that just does everything is perfect. There's, a lot of depth and pain, and I've lost everybody in my life until I found the love of my life, and which we'll get to. But I
can't wait to interview her. You too.
But it was a long road, and after my brother Dean had passed, I just kind of, and I was in the midst of my recovery as far as overcoming my fears.
So you were in the midst of that when your brother...
Yeah, so I was 14 when he passed, so I still hadn't gone over the...
How old was he?
He was 22.
Wow. So he was the oldest.
Yeah, so he was 8 years older than I was. And so, but I felt as I began to mature and grow, I began to overcome, but I knew there was something inside me that I was searching for, but I didn't know how to tap in to something, to this what it was, and I got into different forms of martial arts, and it wasn't for self-defense. It was when I got to college, I was very confused about, I was brought up kind of Protestant and went to parochial.
Really? I don't imagine
parochial school. So I was in church on Wednesday, Sunday, went to religion class, and but when I went to college, I went through this conundrum of confusion and my place in the world and where I belong and my faith in God and what does it mean, everything. Right. What I decided to do was I leaned into martial arts, but it wasn't, it was almost a side effect that I learned self-defense. It was more to learn how to find stillness. It was how to find a connection with source, how to find a place where I belong, how to ground myself. It just was a beautiful thing that I could learn so much more. But he would actually, my sifu at the time would sit and we'd drink tea, and then he would give me special attention, and we'd just sit in the morning. Before the students would come. He said, "You come early, you sit with me," and we would literally. So he was a huge influence over a period of time, and it allowed me to find myself. Wow. It allowed me to find myself and grow, and it was very special. But jumping forward, it wasn't till much later till I really blossomed and had an understanding of what I was meant for. In between that spot is when I had gotten married, and it was kind of a toxic type of situation. And I was forewarned by many people and my mother, like, no, this is not the one. But you have to live in.
We all have one like that.
You have to live and learn and realize. But that led me into chaos. And it led me into about a decade of massive indiscretions. I'll just set it at that.
Okay, massive indiscretion. I love how proper you speak.
But it was tearing me apart. And
the marriage.
It was, and the thing is I had excelled. I was in the hospitality world, and I was a general manager in a casino. I was running different restaurants, clubs. And excelling really well. And so as far as my professional life, I had succeeded to a respectable degree. And what had happened is I began using, it was more of a kind of a party type of thing, and ended up being go beyond the party type of thing, where it led me into a life of kind of self-destruction. And
so
both of us
to the bottom of the pit. The hero's journey.
It was, and so the thing is that and we ended up getting a divorce, and she was a train wreck, and I was not. We were just not any good anymore, and so we split, and I was still reeling from all this. Then in my mind, I looked at it as I had failed, which I realized, of course, later down the road that is not true, but I looked at it as, so I had a lot of self hate and like I just guilt and shame about everything that had transpired, and I couldn't face it, and so I delved deeper into drinking and so on, and it's like everybody at some point gets to their lowest point, right?
Yes.
And I know the day and I know the date, and
really,
of when it was. I'm being as transparent. I have nothing to hide. I want people to understand that.
But I love this. I love this because the awareness of, I love this. Like, I know when I have gone into the darkest of the dark nights to when I went out, and this gives hope to people.
Yes, because there is a rainbow on the other side of the storm.
When there's the work.
Yes. So
because you did work.
Yeah. So not yet. I was in the throes of addiction. So I found myself waking up one morning, and I was catatonic. Basically, I couldn't move. So I realized what I had taken had ketamine in it. And so I was frozen. So you can think, but you can't move. And I was like upside down on a couch, and the front door was open with the keys in it, and the dogs are going in and out of the house. And I realized, I must have driven home like this, and somehow, but it paralyzes you, right? So you can think, but you can't move. And I started just crying and realizing, like,
wow,
if I don't stop this, my mother is going to have to mourn another son.
Oh, I'm sorry for that. I feel the pain with you. And you know what pains me the most? Because I know really powerful people that are dealing with addiction, especially men. Yeah. Because you are supposed to keep it together. You're supposed to be the strong one.
And stuff those emotions down and just deal with it and like put it aside. And just face life. You're stronger than them. Can't be weak. Can't be vulnerable. All these things that we're told, which is not true. So as I started talking to myself and realizing that from this day forward, as soon as I have the ability to move,
so you couldn't move.
So no, for hours went by before I woke up and I was in that state.
Isn't ketamine something for like the horses, for the animals?
It can be used as a abusive drug as well.
Oh my God.
And it can be used for pain. And in other countries, foreign countries, they use it for pain, where we don't in America. But
in Mexico, they use it for pain.
Yeah, so they bastardize it and use it for party drugs and whatnot. So, but it was mixed with some other things I was doing. I didn't know. The thing is, I didn't know it was in it. But it's still, I take full responsibility. So the bottom line is, I began to plan, take action, and say,
So you did it by yourself?
Yeah, I did it myself.
Let's pause in that moment, because I know people that have addictions that they need an intervention.
Yeah.
Right? They need
Typically, that's true. That's true. And
but how did that happen for you?
Well, when I basically, I guess the fear of dying and disappointing my mother, that was the point. I couldn't bear the pain of making her life. That she would have to see, another son perish before her time. I couldn't live with that, and I just promised myself, as soon as I have the ability, I'm going to turn this around. And that's
the power of the human will.
Yeah, I willed myself for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
James Allen has a phrase in his book "As a Man Thinketh" that I love. It says, "The human will, that force unseen, the power of a deathless soul, can hew away with any goal, though walls of granite intervene." Yeah. No matter the obstacle, once your power of your will rises, and that, I think you are the first person that I meet that matches my most favorite lines on that book. Because I've heard people that someone support us, someone helped us, someone, when I was, I had a near-death experience and my arm was caught inside the car. There was no one there. And my friend was unconscious. It was because, your mom, I couldn't bear the thought of my friend dying. So that's why I picked up my arm that was on the back seat. And so the will gives you a divine, not divine, but on what many people call a natural force, but it's driven because you love someone else, right?
Yeah,
it was your mom.
Yeah, and we were, we were very close most of our life until I started screwing my life up, and then there was an interlude, I'll say, where we were not as close, and it was my fault. So I go, what do I know? And what right at this moment, what can bring me some sort of strength? And I leaned into my faith at the time. So I started going back to church anonymously, just sit in the back and just be amongst God, be amongst love, be amongst people that are kind, not be in the sordid group of people I was with. I separate myself from everybody I knew. Now, typically, isolation is not good, but I had to because all these people were, in my mind,
what do you think
demons.
Is not good? That's my go-to.
Drug addicts.
For drug addicts.
Yeah. All the people were party people. They're all they're in the life. They wouldn't understand if I said. So I had to cut ties with everything.
Oh, right.
And everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So and the other thing is I said I have to disconnect from all of the habit loops that led me into that trigger me. So every little thing from I wouldn't use the bathroom upstairs because I do cocaine up there. So I used the bathroom. I couldn't sell my place, so I used the bathroom downstairs. I moved. I slept in a different room. I all the drawers in I moved my underwear in another drawer down here. I would take different routes to the gym. I would enter work through a different entrance. I wouldn't go to certain hotels because the scent in the air would trigger me to want to get shots of tequila. I micromanaged every little thing.
God.
And took out the habit loops and reinserted into more powerful, peaceful ones, right?
How? That's amazing. You repattern your brain.
I repattern every detail of my life. Everything. Every micromanaged thing.
I wish we would be filming this with video, but this is extraordinary.
Yeah. So that's
how long did that took?
I did that for a year, and so here's the thing. So, I still didn't have my powerful growth. It was, later that year that I met a gentleman. Well, actually, he used to be an insane party guy like me. But I hadn't seen him in a couple years, and he kind of came back into my life, and we met up for dinner, and he levitated into the room. I'm like, what, okay, wow. What have you done? And this is what he said to me.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. I don't know, this is so emotional.
He was completely transformed. He had lost weight. He was just glowing like an aura, right? And he goes, Qigong. He goes, if
there it is. There it is.
If you're not into it, you're out of it. And I go, well, I don't want to be out of it. So he asked me to come and stay with him in his place in Miami. So he flew me out there. He had a place like on the beach. And he had one of his, Bruce Francis was his master, and who was working with him and teaching him like traditional,
oh my God,
honorable Qigong, and I got to spend quality time for a week with him there. Breath work, Qigong, mindfulness, movement, just the beauty of it all and an understanding. So I was just shocked in the most beautiful way. Like it really touched my spirit. Like I identified with it because of my martial arts background, but the strength through stillness concept, right?
Strength through stillness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I come back to Vegas, right? And it's nowhere on the radar, right? There's some yoga, there's some hot yoga, which is great, but it was not this. This shook me to the core, and Damon was now in search of chi. So all I could do is just read books, study, for about 6 more months. So all I'm doing is trying to have a better understanding of what this art form is. So it's this magic, this wonderful gift of life force. So I'm reading, studying, and trying to understand. And it wasn't until it's an organization that I actually became a part of later. It was called the Chi Revolution.
I've been feeling shivers all over my body.
And this was a 3-day seminar, 12-hour days, right? So 36 hours over, 2.5 days, I guess, of just an understanding of life force, of breath, being aware of it. You're born with it, you die with it, but are you aware with it? Your lifespan, and how to manipulate it, how to understand it, how to wield this power as you breathe in life. How do you absorb this power, and how do you wield it and use it for good or use it for God? But either way, you got to defy your fears. You got to defy all of these circumstances that hold you back and begin to truly live out your life. And in the most meaningful way, and contribute and give back. And so I just this was my calling.
Oh my gosh. How old were you?
Okay, so this was, let's see, that's a good question.
Because
I was in my 30s, later 30s.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So again, I felt like I was always searching for something, and then this came to me as a gift and helped me on my recovery. So there was an experience called the Breath Empowerment, which now I've created my own design.
I mean, I've experienced your breath and I breath work, and it's nothing like I've ever experienced in my life.
So I experienced this, and it was a practice I did. It was about an hour session, and I did it every single day for 5 years. Because what it did is it restructured my cells of my body. My physiology would alter and change, and it was painful. It is a form of pranayama, right? It's a form of prana, and it was so intense, and it was scary, right?
Wow.
I felt that my heart was going to explode. I thought that I felt pain in my body, but once I began to step back and digest what was happening and fully understand and appreciate, I realized, okay, what is this? The chi is searching to heal me. The energy is coursing through my veins, and what happens is the pain I felt in my heart wasn't killing me. It was mending my heart together.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. No, I'm gonna. Yeah. Oh my God!
From the pain, from the anguish, from the terrible things that I felt that I did, the failed marriage, what I did to my mom. Wow. I had to. It was healing me, and it saved my life.
Okay, yeah. Now I need now who's interviewing who? Oh my gosh, tell me, that's huge, Damon, because I wish so many people are literally dying emotionally and spiritually because of shame, because of guilt, and say a little bit more about the pain. The pain was mending my heart. I'm yes.
So in my that was my infancy of understanding. And through the years, I began to and we're talking practicing hours and hours every single day and having an understanding. It's the feeling is understanding concept, right? It's we can discuss this all day, but it's something you have to experience, and that's why I love to share daily, in which we'll get to what I actually do now. And but this was my journey of a better understanding of Mother Nature within. The universe is within us and an extension of us. Source, spirit, having this influence and propelling me into understanding of self and how to restructure who I am, and that my past does not define my future. But I was driven not only by, at this point, from my brother's passing, but also my own pain, and if the things that I began to see, I can learn from all of this. So I actually went on tour with this group. So the Chi Revolution asked me to become an instructor, because after a number of years, they're like, you're doing Qigong like 5 to 8 hours a day. And
that's only all way.
I did, and you're not sharing this gift with. They go, we've never met anybody like you before, like. So I became an instructor, and then shortly thereafter, I actually became partner in the whole program and began teaching. And actually, I kind of jumped the boat. I had to really find myself. So I went traveling all over, meeting different, I'll call them mystics and gurus and sages and just wonderful people. I walked the earth like Cain, like barefoot, grew a gigantic beard, just
saw a picture of yours. Yes. I was like, wow.
I spent
the mystic.
Time, fasting for a week with just water in the darkness and no speaking, just sleeping on the stone, just being able to find peace with the most primitive surroundings and see and understand that you don't need all of these things that the world tells you, that you need. I had to put this backpack of rocks that I was carrying with me.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. Yeah. And set it down.
And so so I look at it as if as we begin to take small steps to climb that mountain, as we ascend, every breath I take one of those rocks and I set it on the ground, and take one more breath as I step up, and then the burden becomes a little bit lighter. Wow. The weight that we carry, we begin to let go, and the breath is a critical pathway for ascension. Is a way for us to begin to elevate and to remain in a frequency that allows you the ability to hear. Because when we are not in that space, it is so easy to be, I joke as saying a mouth breather, but it's the muck and the everything, the news feeds and the social media.
Social media right now is
just everything that
I just heard yesterday of a little boy killing himself, 6 years old, because someone bullying him on the Instagram. That pains my heart. It's happening more and more.
Yeah. So when we are of things of this earth, and I don't mean nature, but what man has done, it is bringing us further away from who we are.
Yes.
So having the discipline, the self-discipline, which is key. And honestly, self-discipline is just self-love, self-care, self-healing. You have the ability to heal this body. You have the ability to make a shift by consciously choosing to breathe. And when we breathe, we can actually alter the physiology. So the breath is the override switch to your emotional state.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
So when we think about anxiety or overwhelm or whatever that you're feeling, think about simply how you're breathing. Oftentimes it's shallow, it's rapid. We're almost panting like a dog.
Yes.
Now, we're the only animals on the planet that can consciously recognize this and go, you know what, if I can change the pattern in which we're breathing, I can elicit a different response. So it's separating yourself from the emotion and seeing for what it is. Oh, this is frustration, but that's not who I am.
Yeah,
So
that's very much like Vipassana.
Yeah.
Like the Vipassana training.
Yeah. So you can begin to make that separation. I'm having feelings of anxiety, but I am not anxiety. So you can now respond rather than react, in that you're back in control. And that's a key thing. Now, it's not being controlling. It's being in control.
That difference.
Yeah, those are very different things.
Being in control, but not controlling.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Very important.
I'm making notes, everyone. Just FYI. Wow.
Yeah. But it's very empowering to be able to feel in the moment a certain emotion. And whether it be happiness or sadness or whatever you're feeling, emotions are also like clouds. They're going to...
Oh, I love that.
It's true.
You're speaking my language with the T.
Yeah. So they come and go, and we're not in a constant state of happiness. I have a session. I sit down with folks, and I ask a very simple question: what do you want? And
a simple question that is the hardest to answer.
So a lot of people will go, well, I wish to be happy, and I go,
describe.
Yeah, I go, let's slow down. And I go, yes, I mean, of course. And the thing is so how then, how can we get to this point? Because it's a state that is not continual. It's an emotion that is something that is felt, but it's going to pass. So what can we do in our lives to create a structure so that you have happy moments throughout your life, and more happy ones than sad ones. But it's not. It's a fleeting thing. But we're not constantly depressed or constantly sad. We move in and through these emotions. So it's like the connective tissue in between. So how can we create joy? And what I say is like progress. For most people, it creates happiness. So when we are constantly moving the needle forward, and at that point, then you begin to find joy in things. Stagnation, right, or almost reverting backwards, that creates fear. That creates this idea of failure. This creates this idea I'm not doing enough, or I'm not enough, and all these things is so creating momentum and having some sort of progress in your life, and that comes down to your habits. That comes down to all the little things that we do every single day. And when we're moving forward and having that progress, then that creates a feeling of happiness, which creates a feeling of joy of what it is that you're doing, and then you have a more joyful existence in this world. Wow.
Oh, I don't even know what to ask you now. It's like so you encounter Qigong, or Qigong encounter you. It found you, right?
It found me because again, this friend of mine just surfaced out of the blue.
But you said yes,
and I did, because I was in that space of I was desperate to find my calling.
Let's talk about that. Talk about that, because people think that they need to be, what you just said, happy all the time. It feels good every time, but you were desperate in finding your calling, and so Qigong finds you. You find Qigong, breath work.
Yes,
right?
So so Qigong for me is the mastery of internal martial arts, meaning we're taking the offense from the inside out, right? And we can look at Qi as vitality. So whether it be Qi or Ki or Prana or whatever you wish to call, it's all the same. But it can be Qi can be energy information, right? Not just your own personal life force, but it can be in food.
Right.
Because everything is, you're nourishing, right? It's nourishment, and so we absorb this nourishment, whether it be information or the water, so how we hydrate, how we ingest, the food that we eat. So it's very important to understand, like, everything that we put into ourselves is vital, and it is not to be taken lightly. What it is that we ingest, so whether it be social media or the news feed, be vigilant, be on guard, be resilient, and live a lifestyle that is just relentless.
Oh, I love that. My mentor, Tim Rover, will love that. So, and all of these, all of this body of work and the mastery, because in my perspective of you, you have not attain mastery. You have become that mastery of life. And now that I know a little bit more about your story, which is, it's a medicine story. It's like story of medicine. I wish no one had to go through the things that you and I have gone through, but some of us go through it so we can speak about it. So fortunately, invite others not to go through it themselves, right? Or to get out of whatever conundrum they're having in a more, like the bread, like more relaxed bread. So you created the healing sanctuary.
Yes.
How so let's talk about that, because I myself, even if it's not for addictions, I myself, I long to spend a weekend there. I don't have an addiction of food. My only addiction is tea. I don't want to heal from that one, right?
That's okay.
But I'm exposed to social media every day. I have a network television. I feel the distraction in my mind. I don't feel as focused as I used to be. So
you hit it on the nose right there.
Yes.
So the healing sanctuary is a holistic restorative retreat. Okay, and our focus is multi. Really, we do work with folks that are overcoming addictions. They may be coming out of a medical detox. So when they come out, so technically they're sober, right? But so I'll say that because Western medicine, the way that they handle this is they're not identifying the four bodies, the mental, the physical,
exactly.
the emotional, and the spiritual. So they come, oftentimes folks will come to us in this state. And what we offer is different than anybody else. The way that we go about this, we offer a pathway to self-discovery and emotional recovery, right? And it's really key. And then from there, people can basically go through their own recovery. We are not a rehab at all. We are a reset. And
I love that.
There's a distinction.
Love that, the distinction.
Yeah. Because we're resetting your life. It's a revival. It's a reconnection. It's a reconstruction. A recalibration is what's happening. And we work also not just with people in addiction. No. We work with folks that are overcoming PTSD-related issues, depression, anxiety. We work with high-functioning professionals that are looking to get that focus and that drive back. And sometimes you need to take a little time out and step back so you can see things for what they are and get back in the game. So we can do a weekend with you or a week with you or a team of people. But people can stay with, the short term like that. And we've had people stay with us for like 3 months. So it's, yes. And the other thing too, this is not a facility you are invited into a home experience.
I love it. It's the most beautiful place I've seen.
And so we also created something, my wife Angela and I together created what is called the Chi to Life program.
Yes. And
it's exclusive there. The Chi to Life is the key to life. And the key to life, first and foremost, is to simply breathe. Right? Now, the breath is vital. Pulmonary health is vital. So it's a direct connection to the longevity of your life over genetics and even over food. It is your breath, because the way that you breathe can affect your heart rate, can affect your blood pressure, can connect to your blood flow, getting blood flow into all of the organs, the brainstem, everywhere. So cancer hates cancer hates oxygen. So when we're oxygenating, we are, again, Qigong, taking the offense from the inside out. So we are healing the body. So first and foremost, breath, right, is in the way that I share breath is unique. I have a method called Kin Chi Do. Kin Chi Do is, let's just break it down. Kin is in kinetic, right?
Yes, kinetic.
Movement or motion. Chi, obviously life force, and Do is basically the act of or to do, right? So I'm able to teach folks how to manipulate and move energy to heal certain parts of their body, depending on what you're looking for. Or it could be just in general in complete, we hold the universe within us, so we can disperse it throughout that multisphere, and it's very, very powerful. Mm-hmm. So I use combinations. So I've taken, I would say, all the best combinations of techniques, and nobody has created anything with breath at this point. Basically, all we're doing is taking what the ancients and the cultures have put together as a gift to us, taking these, and what I've done is through the thousands of hours of breath work. Now, I know we breathe all day long, but I mean, this conscious, focused, intentional breathing is found what works. So I teach exploration breathing, I teach performance breathing, and I teach in-the-moment breathing. And what I mean by that is I have certain techniques that are in the moment. Once you learn the actual technique, you can basically use this as a way to basically combat, right, the obstacle that you're facing in less than a minute.
Wow.
And I know it sounds wild, but again, feeling is understanding. So it's working with me, you'll understand. And I don't believe in biohacks and all that stuff. So that is not what this is.
Thank you.
Yes, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
But performance breathing can be 5 minutes to 15 minutes. Exploration breathing could be 30 minutes to 3 hours. But these are these little things when you're feeling that in the like I've got a gentleman that he was a vice president of Wells Fargo that still now has issue giving talks, and I shared this one particular technique with him, and he was able to put it into action and shut that emotional feeling down. So he would get very nervous and he starts sweating and his hands are getting wet and his heart race going.
I feel him.
So I love the story with Bruce Springsteen. He talked about this too when somebody asked him, like, do you get nervous when you go on stage, right, in front of Rocking It Out in front of 100,000 people at Madison Square Garden? And he goes, I'll tell you the truth. He goes, when I first started, I used to get, my heart would just start pounding in my chest. I would, my stomach was turning. I'm sweating like crazy. And at first, I would just have to go throw up and then go out there and just force myself. But he goes, Tony Robbins told him, and they shared time together. He's like, you're looking at it all wrong. He goes, your body's telling you that you're ready to rock the house.
Oh, I love that. Shift.
All you have to do, you're looking at half full, half empty. He goes, you just look at it, that your body's revved up and you are ready to absolutely crush and give the love of music out there to the people.
Oh my God.
So it's that simple, is a shift in your mindset.
Right.
And so this happened for him, and I never forgot that story. And so I kind of shared that thing, but instead of not telling, so the story's profound, right?
Profound.
But I also give actionable solutions, which is a whole different ballgame, to be able to go along with the teaching.
Yes.
So now he uses his breath with that mindset, half full, half empty. I'm feeling this way. That's because I'm ready, not because I'm scared. That's a different thing. And then how do I use my breath, change my breath to get me prepared?
Wow.
And I've even micromanaged that down into, so there is what I call a cue, a way to use your body. So after you've been doing this breath for a while, at the end of that breath, you do a cue, which either is like a beat of the chest or snap of the finger or something like that. And after...
Like an anchor?
Yes, an anchor. So what happens is after 100 or 1,000 times you've done that, you don't have to do the breath. You have the anchor. And you have to make one move like Elvis. Hi! Right?
Yes,
and boom. That profoundness has reverberated through your body in such a powerful way that it has triggered you into delivering.
Dang, I want to go as a public speaker right now.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild.
Wow. Oh my gosh. We're coming back to the end. This is going to be the episode 1 because you're such a... It's such a vast way of wisdom and knowledge and experiences and medicine. Mm-hmm. Everything you've spoken is medicine for some. It's like homeopathy, right? How do we get homeopathic remedies? From the same ailment, from the same poison, there's the healing, right? Like if a wasp stings you, it's Apis mellifera that they give you. It's from the sting.
Yes.
They heal you from their... It's such a conundrum of humanity, but it's worth it. So... before we complete, and I'll make sure that my team, we will put everything in the copy. Where can they reach you? All of your websites, and then we'll have 2 more episodes with you, and hopefully 2 in video. Since I'm launching, I want to launch my YouTube video with you in it. That'll be great, and Angela will bring her too. But what is, one thing that my heart is aching currently for boys. I'm a mom of boys. And I have a daughter too. And I honor the women and the whole sacred feminine movement. But I see the challenges that men are having now. There's lack of initiation, lack of healthy rites of passage, lack of healthy supported brotherhood. They're battling now with demons and, dragons of social media comparison, with the pressure, with depression, with addiction. So what could you, and this is going to be maybe emotional, what would your 6-year-old want to tell the little boy inside of this man, because I see my son, and I'm so blessed that my son gets to meet you, and so it's as a mother, I can only do so much as a woman for men. I really believe that it's men helping men that can help them. But what will be the message? What would you want all these men that are suffering right now inside to know?
I would say be courageous.
Yeah, courage.
Yeah, it's a
courage.
It's to, and be supportive, and also it's okay to be vulnerable. There's strength.
Yes.
There's strength in vulnerability, not weakness.
Yes.
Also separate yourself from the ego. We
that's for all of us.
Yeah, but it's a huge thing. At the Healing Sanctuary, I tell everybody first thing out is leave the armor at the door. It is not allowed in this house.
Wow.
And we get to work. And next time we get together, we'll talk about more of the actual what happens.
Yes.
What in the different programs, the curriculums, and the depth. Even though it's a holistic restorative retreat, it is intense. And
I've been there,
yes,
and I've been there just for 1 hour or two, and for me it changed my whole life.
Yeah.
1 hour with you.
Yes, and I think the people will really appreciate the depth of what we go. But our goal is to end this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
We're a lot of these other facilities. They're insurance based. As soon as somebody leaves, there's no follow up. There's no exit strategy,
right.
And they basically depend on them coming back. Because it's a massive money making institution. We don't look at it that way. We only take a handful of people at a time. We give everything of ourselves. My wife and I pour into these folks. We have a team. You are outnumbered 6, if not 8 to 1. As far as people that are working on you. And when you leave, you have a team of people that are continue the process for the next 3 months minimum, still working with you, continuing the path of sobriety or just support, whatever that it is.
Yeah, because you need follow up.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's where other places, they don't want to take the time because there's no money in it. And we kind of just build it into it so that our goal, again, is to end that vicious cycle that so many people fall back into it. The average person goes in and out of rehab 3 to 4 times in their life. And I saw it happen in my family, and also how we work with families outside. So it's not just the individual. We work with the families.
No, it has to be multidisciplinary, right?
So we work, whether it be their spouse or whether it be their family, coworkers, whoever those significant people in your life are. We work with them too. How can they be of support to you? How do we create?
Yeah, we'll do the next episode. Let's talk about all your programs in your next episode, and talk to the people that are that have someone with addiction.
Yeah. 48% of Americans
so hard.
either themselves or somebody in their family or friends.
Yeah, my daughter had anorexia. That was an addiction,
right? So
an eating
food,
disorder.
Gambling, internet, shopping, adult media content, not just alcohol and drugs. There are many other forms of it, that we don't really think of. Video games. The average person that has you think of video games as kids. 34 years old is the average person that has an addiction with video games. These are men.
Yeah,
these are
I know they are men. Yes.
Yeah. So with careers that are spending 6, 7, 8 hours playing games, and basically. What's happening is there, any addiction, I kind of look at it as like they're trying to really solve a problem. Yeah. The pain from whatever's going on is coming from somewhere else. So what are they doing? They're trying to solve a problem by occupying their time or really running away from the situation, not dealing with it. Who wants to deal with the pain of some sort of trauma when you're a kid? So whatever that it is,
Plus, you don't have the tools.
They don't have the tools. Absolutely. So the thing that we just know, because it's all over... anything that seems fun, whether it be sports or concerts, is sponsored by things that are, not going to serve you well in the end, which is fast food and beer and alcohol.
Immediate gratification.
Yes. And so we've lost the ability to stand in our own power. Our kids young ladies, young boys are dealing with a new world. These generations are faced with different struggles than you and I.
Yeah,
and so to have a positive influence upon them and give them the proper tools to be able to face the challenges that they're up against is going to be a world of difference. And it's up to you and I and all these
Amen.
people that are listening to be absolutely forging ahead and creating a space for them so they have a chance out there. And it's up to us.
Wow. Well, with that said, we're going to close here. Damon, thank you so much for your precious wisdom, medicine, and time. I'm eager to take some actions already from what you shared, and we'll have you back. Everybody, we are the ancestors of the future generations. It's up to us. We can no longer continue to complain about what we don't like. We got to take action upon the complaints. That's how I see them. They are called to actions for our souls to take action and do something about it. So thank you, Damon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
And thank you, the team behind this. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same channels. Please subscribe. Remember, we're a philanthropic podcast. We're sponsored by my own companies, Brilliant Futures Productions and De La Flor Teachings. We keep it philanthropic. So our beautiful guests, they don't have intermissions of anything. Please go check thehealingsanctuary.com. We will put all the thehealingsanctuary.vegas, and we'll put all of the ways that you can connect with Damon, his team, his wife. Unbelievable experience. Well, we love you. We wish you grace, love, happiness, and peace. Un besito. Adios. Thank you for listening to the Spirituality Now podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and share us with a friend. To learn more about how to live more present in the moment and take your faith into action, visit delaflorteachings.com/faith to access the free training of 21 Days of Faith in Action today.